Just when you didn't think that Canada's immigration system could get even more broken, there's a wild story that just came out over the last few days about a major problem that's once again happening at a border crossing between Canada and the United States. Now, before I get into that, this is a story that's not hitting the mainstream media in a major way. I'm going to be writing a lot about this issue and others over the summer and bringing you information on these topics that don't necessarily get the play that other different types of stories would in the mainstream media. So if you can take a minute and click on the link that's in the video description, I'll also put it in the comments. It allows me to directly communicate with you, give you this information, and get around the Liberals' censorship bans that they put in place with bills C11, C18, and then potentially with the reintroduction of bills like C63. So just take a minute, click on the link that's in the comments, click subscribe. It allows me to directly communicate with you. It helps me do my job more effectively as a parliamentarian because I can get the word out. But yes, I'll be following this situation, which is really concerning, and bringing that information to you in the next few days. So here's what the story is. Reports have emerged that in the first few days of July, like just over a 6-day period, that a small town's worth of people illegally crossed the border from the United States into Canada, and then the Liberal government allowed these people to claim asylum. So just to be perfectly clear, these are people who have already reached the safety of the United States of America. This is a country that Canada deems as a safe third country. This is this is the United States of America. This is a country that people choose to immigrate to, that Canada is pursuing a trade agreement with right now. This is not, this is not a country that people flee from, right? So the Canadian government allowed 750 people, think about that, to claim asylum in Canada after already reaching the safety of the United States of America. They illegally crossed the border into Canada, and then the Liberal government it essentially enabled them to claim asylum. Now, what does that mean? These people are going to go into an already years-long queue of asylum claims in Canada. We know that the Liberal government, do you remember, it was about a decade ago, the Liberal government put out a tweet. It was #WelcomeToCanada. They saw this massive influx, tens of thousands of people, if not hundreds of thousands of people claiming asylum in Canada. And essentially there are a big majority of those claims have found to they haven't either been processed or they're not valid claims. In the meantime, people who claim asylum in Canada are eligible to receive a lot of taxpayer benefits, right, including health care. But we also know that there's been a lot of reports about asylum claimants, people who have pending asylum claims, being put up in housing and hotels at the taxpayer expense, getting work permits, able to access a host of taxpayer-funded benefits. Now, Canada is a warm and open and welcoming country to people from around the world. Immigration has been one of the strengths of our country, but it's not fair to allow people who have already reached the safety of the United States of America to illegally cross the border into Canada and then make a mockery of the asylum claim system. If you don't believe me on this, if this sounds a little harsh, it was actually The Economist magazine, not not known for its, right-wing or conservative leanings. They actually had a cover story about how many Western asylum claim systems have been broken. And so here we've got the Liberal government with, after a decade of immigration failure, they're continuing to allow this type of behavior to happen. There's been nothing in the media of the Liberal government saying this is wrong, we're going to take steps to address this issue. And without them doing that, what happens? It sends a signal for more people to come and do the exact same thing, right? So that has to change. The Liberal government has to come out with policy that would prevent people who have already spent a long period of time in a safe third country like the United States of America from then illegally crossing the border into Canada and claiming asylum, and then being able to access many government taxpayer-funded benefits while they're in a long processing queue that the Liberals have, failed to process these asylum claims in a timely period. So, there are so, and here's the other thing. Some of you who might be watching this, you came to Canada and you played by the rules. You immigrated to the country, you waited in long, regular processing lines, and you know, you're contributing to the country. And I know, because I hear from you, you're like, this isn't fair. It's not fair that somebody can just circumvent the Canada's immigration system by illegally crossing the border from the United States of America, making an asylum claim that likely won't be approved, but all the while being able to claim benefits. Now, you've got this problem happening with people illegally crossing the border from the United States, claiming asylum, and then being eligible for certain taxpayer benefits. But at the same time, we know that there are hundreds of thousands, there's reports of millions of people in Canada who have expired visas. They're not permanent residents. They're people who have come to Canada on a temporary visa. Their visas either have expired or are about to expire, and the government has no plans to remove these people. If you watch me in the House of Commons, I asked very simple questions of the government, of the Liberals, saying, people who no longer have a visa or a legal reason to be in the country, what is your plan to get them to leave? And of course, the Liberal government had no response to this. So because there's this problem of the Liberal government not being willing to remove people whose visas have expired, of course people are going to try and illegally cross the border from the United States, claim asylum, knowing that there's a backlog in the system, and be eligible to receive very lucrative taxpayer benefits. It's not fair to anybody. You know, we know that the Liberals' broken immigration system has exacerbated the housing crisis, it's exacerbated the jobs crisis, and it's also exacerbated the healthcare crisis. So that's why it's so important for this particular story to be paid attention to, and for you to help me get the word out. So you can click on the link that's in the video description. I'll also put it in the comments. I'll be on this issue a lot over the summer, trying to force the Liberal government to do the right thing, but also sharing this video and getting the word out that this is how broken Canada's immigration system is. There are millions and millions of Canadians who have supported immigration in the past because we understand, you know, that Canada's peaceful pluralism is something that makes our country strong. Where the line has been drawn is people are saying, look, the numbers are too high. The Liberal government has allowed too many people to come into the country, particularly on temporary visas with temporary work permits, and also abuse the asylum system that that the country has the ability to house, find jobs for, or provide health care for, right? And the Liberal government at the federal level and provincial governments across the country too, they're facing massive budget deficits. So situations like this, where we have potential widespread abuse of immigration systems, needs to be rectified immediately. And of course, the Liberal government, they're not allowing Parliament to sit this summer. We need to do something to get public attention, even though it's the summer, on this issue, so that this situation doesn't get worse. I will be doing that this summer. I am working. I will make sure that there is attention paid to this and that the government is forced to address some of these issues. How you can help is by clicking on the link in the video description, by subscribing to my newsletter. It's free so that I can keep you apprised, and then also sharing this information with others, because the Liberals they don't want attention on these issues, right? Because it is so bad. So anyway, this is a breaking story. It was reported in the Journal de Montreal. It was also on a couple of other online outlets as well too. But again, over 750 people in just the first few days of July alone illegally crossed the border from the United States into Canada. The Liberal government allowed them to claim asylum. They haven't talked about what they're going to do to stop this problem, and that probably means that the problem is going to get worse, and that is unacceptable. It needs to end. I'll keep staying apprised of this issue. I'll keep you apprised of this issue. I'll be working hard to force the government to take action. But guys, we got to get the word out. This is wrong. The Liberals should not allow our immigration system to continue to be abused. Working hard for you in Calgary. Have a great day.